I've spent the past 2 decades of my life immersed as a complete fitness geek learning this stuff. My formal training is exercise physiology. My master's degree is in exercise physiology and biomechanics. This is my life. There are myths and big fat lies in the fitness industry that tell you to go beat up your body, work till you're sore, destroy yourself until you're blue in the face, and that's not what is necessary for longevity. And furthermore, it's not what's necessary. Just feel freaking good. You know, I realized after years of beating up my body with the wrong kind of fitness that my biological age was actually older than my chronological age. What I did was I identified the 5 specific parameters of fitness that you must engage in if you want that complete balanced approach to fitness, and you also want to maintain your health, your beauty, and your longevity.
Which means you now have the body of your 20-year-old self.
Exactly, and there's no reason everybody can't have that.
And I want you to understand that, because that's the difference between fitness and going beyond fitness.
You know, we also like to sing in the shower for these hot, cold contrast showers, right? I got the magic in me. Magic, magic, magic.
In this episode of Project Reclamation podcast, my idiot co-hosts do their best to introduce you to America's top personal trainer, holistic nutritionist, and health expert Ben Greenfield. Ben's mission is to show you how to overcome common health-related training issues while optimizing your workouts so you can look, feel, and perform like a champion, as well as live a long and vibrant life. Basically, Ben is awesome, and needless to say, way cooler than the guys who are about to tell you about him.
I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational. You can do it! But it just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life.
And we are recording.
Are you recording?
I am recording.
Are you recording?
I'm recording.
Are you recording?
I am recording.
Wait, are you recording?
Wait, hold on. Let me check. Yeah, I'm recording.
All right, cool. Are you recording? All right. So we just watched A Star Is Born, and
I was super excited to watch it. And then after talking to you last night, now I'm just not.
I was hearing nothing but like really, really good things about it, and people were raving about it, and I watched it, and I don't like to be like super negative, but it really wasn't everything that it cracked up to be. Unfortunately, I was kind of disappointed. Like the music was amazing. Bradley Cooper, he wrote half the stuff. He directed in it. He acted in it. Like super, just multi-talented. Lady Gaga the acting was amazing. I just feel like the story was kind of like clunky. It was like somebody learning to drive a stick shift.
So Lady Gaga was like the main character, right?
Yeah, they were the it was a romantic interest. She was the young up and comer, and he was the has been.
Bradley Cooper was the has been.
Well, I wouldn't say has been, but he was on the backside of the peak of his career.
No, but Lady Gaga was not playing herself, was she?
No. Now she was playing a character named Allie.
Now, was it kind of like 8 Mile, where Eminem wasn't playing himself, but the character was definitely, obviously himself?
There was some wrappings of that.
Okay, all right.
Sort of hinting at it was kind of how
hinting.
It was sort of a I don't even know what to call it. It was some sort of representation of how people are discovered
garbage
in the music business. And like I said, I hate to talk crap because it was good. It just wasn't like as good as I wanted it to be. I felt like had they done a different edit, or if there was just a different way that the story was told, it was just like it was like, you know how you like get into first gear and you hit the brakes, and then you get in the and then you're going, and then you kind of stop. And
so it was like, so the acting was good, but like maybe the writing like needed some work.
Something like that. I can't even put my finger on it. You should watch it and get back to me.
Fine.
And for those of you who have seen it, let me know if I'm completely.
It's too bad because.
Yeah, the acting was impeccable. Like that's the problem. And the cinematography was beautiful. It was all gorgeous looking.
I dig Bradley Cooper. I like Lady
Bradley
Gaga.
Badass.
And I just could not love anybody more than I love Sam Elliott.
Right. That's my Sam Elliott voice. Right.
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 I need you to go buy a Ram truck, JB.
I didn't even smoke Marlboros. I smoked Cools.
You should read my memoirs. They're great. They all got one thing in common. They're short, and basically it was worth it.
Yeah. It was worth it. All right, enough Sam Elliott talk because I'm not doing him justice.
Let me tell you about the time.
People are getting bored and rolling their eyes.
Tell you about the time I smoked
all three of
crack
you.
cocaine with Mother Teresa. It was worth it.
It was worth it. I almost got it there.
There's a fucking phenomenal YouTube video. Go search on YouTube. It's Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's memoirs. I'm not even sure. In fact, I'm fairly certain it's not actually him. But if
Really?
it is him, maybe it is. I mean, it sounds like him. So maybe it is. I don't know.
Sam Elliott is 74 years old.
Dude. And then there's that, we were talking about this last night, but there's that movie, Hero, I think it's called. And it was written, I don't know if it was written about Sam Elliott, but it was definitely written for Sam Elliott. And he's for once in his career, the main character. And apparently that movie's
He does play a pretty good supporting role.
Dude,
I mean, let's just roll through the first 3 or 4. We have Roadhouse,
Tombstone.
We have Tombstone. We have The Big Lebowski.
He played the narrator
role.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly!
So many other ones.
That's just a few of the most well known. I mean, Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Well, and then isn't he on that? He's on that show with what's his name?
The Ranch with the old.
Yep.
What's his face?
You told me to watch it. I still haven't watched it, but I did.
Did I? I don't think I did.
I think
it wasn't me because I watched the first episode and it didn't grab me. So
I just don't love Ashton Kutcher. I don't dislike him. I got
it's not. Yeah, it's nothing. I have nothing against Ashton Kutcher. It just wasn't funny to me. It didn't grab me in the first. I watched the first, which I think shows like that should, because that's the whole point of like a 25-minute. What you call it?
What did I was watching. Oh, I was going through YouTube videos, and there was one. It was a scene from the show The Ranch, and it was Sam Elliott. Now The Ranch it's Ashton Kutcher, and then it's the other guy from that '70s show too, right?
Yeah, I don't know his name.
No, me neither do I.
It's not Topher Grace, but
no, it's his name's Hyde. Something Hyde. On the show. I don't know his fucking real name. And who cares? Apparently didn't he just get like in trouble or arrested or something for
Danny Masterson.
There you go.
Yep. I don't know. He may have. Who knows?
Who
swept up in that whole.
It doesn't matter.
movement.
Anyways, the scene was basically Sam Elliott opens the fridge and there's some fucking almond milk, and he's talking about almond milk, and he's like, "What the fuck is this almond milk? Like, nah. Almonds don't have tits. You can't milk an almond." Something like that. I'm totally not doing it justice.
That's a valid point.
Totally not doing it justice. You should probably go look it up. It's pretty fucking funny.
Thank you for smoking. Come on now.
Oh, dude, I forgot about dude.
We just quoted that.
We quoted it and then we
this.
forgot to mention it.
Yeah, like he was the Marlboro Man. That's actually how you kind of have to see Sam Elliott is the Marlboro Man.
Well, he is the Marlboro Man.
Yeah,
he's like an even cooler version of your dad, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my dad was an actor, but he did pose for a cigarette ad in his early years.
Dude, those still shots,
orange horseshoe.
Those still shots are badass.
They're pretty BA. We'll have to post them on the old Project Reclamation website.com www.
Yeah, we should probably pay Squarespace so that the website comes back up first.
Oh, that would also be.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that, or maybe we'll just do it on the social medias for right now.
It's all good.
Dude,
all good.
The man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot.
What?
One of Sam Elliott's latest ventures. Let's see here. Let's go to the IMDb about this. Hold on. I have Taron Egerton looking at me as Elton John. Decades after ending World War II by assassinating Adolf Hitler in an undercover operation, unsung American hero Calvin Barr is called upon by the government to hunt down the fabled Bigfoot. the carrier of a deadly plague that could destroy humanity. Whoa, dude. Directed by Robert G. Krasowski. I don't even know who that is.
Dude,
he's Polish though.
Wait, Krasowski is Polish? No way.
What you wouldn't think with the the Rizowski. That part of it. The K not so much, but everything past the K, pretty much Polish.
No, I mean K's could be Polish too. Why not?
That's true.
It's like Special K, but they call it Polish K. It's like the new designer drug.
And it has no nutritional value whatsoever.
Well, that's true too. It's like a really.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's because it's Polish, like the screen door on the submarine, or the ejection seat in the helicopter, or the solar flashlight.
How did that even happen?
I don't know.
Like,
yeah, why
are there all
in the
these
history of jokes are Polacks considered to be intellectually inferior?
When I was a kid, I loved jokes, you know, and so like all these jokes I learned a million fucking Polak jokes. Like
what? I know many, or not many, but I know a few smart Polish people.
How do you get a one-armed Polish guy out of a tree? You wave to him.
You wave at him.
Yeah. Well, how do you get a two-armed Polak out of a tree? You wave to him twice. Polak's newest invention: helicopter with an ejection seat.
The screen door on the submarine.
Solar
flashlight. Mm-hmm. Which actually is a thing.
Wait, there's a solar. Well, yeah, because
you can charge a flashlight from the sun, and then it charges a battery. So that's not a good one. That's not.
No, but I think maybe the solar charging is newer because I mean that joke's been around since we were kids. So we're talking.
Yeah, almost at least 30 years.
God damn! I was about to say almost 40 years, and then I got a little bit.
I know.
Depressed.
Well, dude, we were watching something tonight, and they're like in his fourth decade, and I was like, and he said like from 1981. I was like, oh God, I'm in my fourth decade.
Well, that's scary. Dude. And then I mean, you know, I was looking up this guy that we're about to talk about in a few minutes here, and he's 38, but he's different because him being 38. Actually makes me feel pretty good because he's doing pretty good.
Well, in this dude that why don't we just that's a kind of a clunky
it's a very
The Star Is Born segue into wow, into our topic for the day.
Lady Gaga's only she's in her early 30s, and I don't know why that weirded me out, but I was like,
okay, really? So subplot here. Lady Gaga looks amazing without all the crazy makeup.
Dude, Lady Gaga, she's a good-looking woman. And the funny thing is,
I feel like she should do more work without all the craziness.
I feel like
she just looks real, and she's a pretty girl.
Here's the funny thing, and if you listen to, I think it was our depression episode, I threw on a Lady Gaga song on the end, and I think it was a acapella version of "Born This Way."
Oh yeah,
and her singing as well as her looks are pretty. Her singing is even better, but I mean. She doesn't need any fucking glitz or glam. Let's be honest. Like her voice
she can stand.
Fucking
she could
amazing.
She could be just behind a sheet. You don't have to see her.
Her voice is amazing, and her original. And JB can speak more to this than me, but I mean her original job before she was like quote unquote found was she was a studio singer. It's like doing probably backup stuff.
Yeah, it could be. Or she could be doing demos or whatever.
Tell me, like when someone. If you're a studio like guitar player, studio like backup singer, basically it means you have to be like really fucking good because you just work in the studio. Whoever the fuck walks in and books a session, they give you the music and you have to be able to play it or sing it fucking perfectly right away. Right?
Here's how it goes in Nashville. Let me just give you the rundown real quick.
Dude,
so in Nashville, in the professional studios, which are not as many of them as there used to be because you can obviously do it in your home. But in a professional studio, there are 3 sessions: 10 to 2 in the morning, or 10 in the morning, 2 to afternoon, 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 4-hour chunks. In those, it's all the musicians are with a union. So you know when a label comes in and wants to record an album, they pick a producer. The producer then picks musicians that he thinks are going to be good. He picks an engineer that he works with, yada, yada, yada. So the musicians come in and are they may get the music ahead of time before they get in, but many times they just walk into the studio in the morning at say 9:15. get their coffee, do their thing, and they'll listen to a demo, board tape, whatever representation of the songs that they're about to play that day. They will sit down, they listen to it maybe once or twice, and they will jot down what's called Nashville numbers, which is basically a abridged kind of easier way of reading music, and it's based on
kind of like tablature is to guitars, basically.
Kind of. It's based on, so there's a key signature for the song. So say like A through G, or whatever, and then so you've heard of like the chord progression 1 4 5, which is the first. So that's kind of what Nashville numbers. I'm bastardizing it, but that's kind of what it is. So they'll listen to the song, they know what key it's in, they recognize the chord chords in the song progression. Okay. There you go. Thank you. And they'll write that down. They know the sharps, the flats, all this. Their ears are so good that they can listen to it twice and pretty much have the song mapped out that they're going to play in 10 or 15 minutes. And then they go in and they play it better than anybody. That's the amount of talent.
So
that's just the. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like these are professional musicians. These guys make a good living doing this.
So
you can make up to upwards of $2,000 a day if you're depending on what scale you're at and your seniority within the union and stuff like that. It's pretty impressive, but the talent required to do that is pretty staggering. So
like a lot of bands, So correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of bands, they'll have their guitarist and their drummer and stuff that go on tour with them, but those aren't the guys playing the guitar and the drums and shit when they record their album.
It all depends.
But a lot of times, right?
Some producers, it literally depends. Some producers will want the road band to come in. If it's like a band, like for instance, like the Zac Brown band or whatever.
Okay.
Sometimes the producer will want the guys that are in the band to come in and play, but a vast majority of the time, just based on skill level too, because they could pump out 3 or 4 songs in a 4-hour, probably more than that sometimes, in a 4-hour session. So if you're a producer and you have a bottom line, you have a budget, you're working with a budget, you want guys that can nail it
right
within the first 1 or 2 takes. So typically the band guys are talented, but they may require a little bit more time to get the desired effect. So that's why these guys make the money that they do.
When playing
They're
live,
session musicians.
Playing live music and playing music for recorded purposes is very different, I would imagine.
It is, and to
a certain degree.
You've heard of like red light fever, right? When the mic is recording, everybody, the talent kind of runs down your leg sometimes. That's a thing. Which is what a lot of like rookie artists and stuff like that. It takes them a long time to get used to that, because you're like the light. You realize, you see that it's recording. And you're like, oh my god. Like the camera's rolling, kind of thing. These guys, it's just second nature to them. They do it. They hit the notes. They're comfortable. For instance, a guy like Brent Mason, the guy that played the on Chattahoochee, like
okay, yeah,
and has played incredible amounts of music that you've heard. It's amazing. There's only a few guys listen. More so now because Nashville's been growing exponentially, but on a lot of the number one songs, because the producers who produce their, there's a small group of talented people, producers, labels. They're all going to want to work with the people who they know can do the job well and have done it before.
Writers too, there's
exactly no for sure, and it's
like
people are like, how do I break into that? Well, be talented and get it done.
Is his name David Silver? He wrote a bunch of most of Rascal Flatts songs.
Could have. I don't know. I don't know that offhand, but no, Jeffrey Steele.
There you go, Jeffrey Steele. Silver Steele.
Different kind of metal. Yeah,
I was going with the whole metal thing. Yeah, Jeffrey Steele. Yeah, dude, that guy's awesome.
Well, and that's a whole other thing too. So he has a publishing deal. He works for a publishing company, and publishing companies are the ones that kind of employ songwriters and supply the excellent content for. Shocker, a lot of artists. Not more so these days but a lot of artists, in the last 3 or 4 decades or for whatever, didn't write a lot of their songs. They were provided songs by their labels who got them from the publishing companies that they're
Rascal
affiliated
Flatts
with.
never
Yeah,
wrote
yeah.
any
I mean,
songs. Tim McGraw
they have written
wrote
some,
well,
but
maybe a few. Tim McGraw has written almost zero of his own songs.
But the labels are investing money, so they want to know that they're getting a quality product.
But Jeffrey Steele writes amazing songs, and like that
he
song,
does,
like
sure.
what hurts the most. That's an amazing song. Rascal Flatts does not do that song justice. But if you go listen to the Jeffrey Steele version, find it on YouTube, or if you're a fan of holy shit,
what,
the guy from Stained,
Aaron Lewis.
If you listen to the Aaron Lewis version of What Hurts the Most. Holy shit!
You've got to listen to Jeffrey Steele's version.
Jeffrey Steele's version is good.
He's got a really like raspy.
But dude, Aaron Lewis's version is amazing.
Yeah.
But him and Jeffrey Steele are friends, so he like gets it because that song was written by Jeffrey Steele, and it's written about his son, who he let go snowmobiling. I think it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he didn't really want to. And then his son basically he let his son go out and do something. I think it was snowmobiling, and his son ended up dying. And that's what that song is about. When Rascal Flatts performs it, it almost like I get like before I knew what it was about, I got the feeling that it was about like a girl leaving you or like something that's like kind of sucks, but it's not like that deep.
Well, you've got to make it palatable for a vast majority of people. Dude, it's all business.
Don't get me wrong.
I get what you're saying.
I like Rascal Flatts. You know, it was a good song when they performed it, but when you know what it's about, like they do not bring it home to the level that Jeffrey Steele does, obviously, because it's his song, and then Aaron Lewis's version is pretty fucking phenomenal.
Well, and it gives those of us who do know whatever representation of the actual story, it gives us something to kind of be like, wow, there's a whole different meaning to this song,
Well, I mean, dude, a well performed or well recorded song, it should have many meanings to many different people. So
for sure, yeah, there's so many layers to good songs. I mean, there's face value, there's just how you interpret it. It's just like anything, how you interpret the Bible, how you interpret anything, any sort of piece of work. It's art, so
wow.
I mean,
You just connected a
extremely
fucking Rascal Flatts song to the Bible.
Yeah,
congratulations, dude. That is
thank you on this week's episode of Crazy Comparisons with J.B. Beckstead.
What country songs can we compare to the Bible?
Yeah, in a roundabout way.
So speaking of comparing certain songs to the Bible. I mean, that's
Ben
kind of like
Greenfield.
that's like literary hacking, but let's talk more about biohacking.
Totally.
So you already said it, but
biohacking.
Our episode today is about. So this is kind of it's a sort of a deeper dive or a continuation or something. It's linked somehow to our biohacking episode a few episodes ago.
Yeah, it's we don't have the resources or the connections to be able to interview these people sometimes or most times. So we just kind of throw some information at you just so you can get a better idea of what they are, and you can kind of go out and research your own.
Exactly. And by the time we bullshit and talk about whatever fucking Fire Fest or some bullshit for 20 minutes, we're gonna give you 35-40 minutes of kind of a little teaser of who these people are, what they stand for, what they're like, what they talk about, and ideally give you enough information to kind of wet your whistle or tickle your palate to go look up these people on your own.
And when we become the world-shaping podcast that we know we can be, we'll go back and actually interview these people,
Well, and maybe by doing an episode about Ben Greenfield, then maybe he'll want to talk to us. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, maybe we can do a phone interview.
It's interesting.
I would love to go to his place in old upstate Idaho or whatever. But
so he grew up there. So okay,
but he lives off the grid near like Coeur d'Alene or something like that. Oh, is it Spokane?
Yeah. Which is okay. So Spokane is like Eastern
I obviously
Washington.
did my research.
If you live in, if you know anything about Washington, you probably think Seattle. Seattle, it fucking rains all the time. Seattle's a cool city. Don't get me wrong. But it rains a lot, and it's very rainy. And as my friend Casey Manning put it, everybody looks like they're fucking going camping, which is true. Like REI has a huge REI, dude, REI and whatever, like
hammocks, and they eat granola, and I can see their toes through their shoes.
Yeah, dude, REI has a really big footprint in Seattle, Washington, but Spokane, Washington is a little bit different. What?
Have you ever been doing REI?
I haven't, but
dude. Why not? I am a member of REI. It's amazing. Not to get off on that tangent, but
I have nothing against REI. There's an REI not too far away from me. Here's the thing, man. I have been thinking about this actually a lot lately. I would love to, like, I used to go camping a lot when I was a kid.
Dude, I used to go camping with you a lot. When
and I really want to, and I should.
Scouts and stuff like that.
I'd love to fucking start going camping more. Like, that sounds like something I should do, but I haven't. So, anyways, REI. It was a funny joke about how everybody in fucking Seattle looks like they're going camping. However, REI, fucking great company, dude. They make a lot of fucking awesome camping gear. REI, Patagonia, Eddie Bauer. I don't know if they're still around, but they used to make.
Here's the thing: REI has one of the best return policies of any company. I don't know even if you have to be a member, but you can take in something that you bought at REI like 5 years ago, could have been worn through, slick holes in things, and they will trade it in for you.
So it's like one of those things, like everything they sell pretty much has like a lifetime warranty.
Kind of. I don't know if you have to be a member or not, but
well, that's like, dude, Craftsman tools. I mean, Craftsman tools they're not the best. I mean, probably
especially not anymore because
Snap-on
doesn't own them.
Yeah, whatever.
They're all made in the same factory.
I'm just saying, but dude, Snap-on, and there's another brand that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, the trucks, Matco.
Yeah. So I mean, those are like kind of the creme de la creme, but
professional
Craftsman tools. When Sears owned them, when Sears used to be, a decent company before they fucking shit the bed. I mean, Craftsman tools were badass, and I mean, at least badass for someone who's just someone who just, you're just a normal person doing some.
Well, it's an iconic brand.
Shit.
It's an iconic brand. They were quality enough that you could get the job done. Those who required a hefty tool would depend on Matco or Snap-on.
Dude, basically, like Snap-on and all that shit was like if you needed those tools to do your job. Like
that truck's coming to your place of work and selling them to you.
Sure, but anybody who's just doing their own kind of handyman shit, like, dude, Craftsman was definitely good enough.
Prosumer,
but the cool thing about Craftsman is, dude, no matter what Craftsman tool you bought, they all had a lifetime warranty, which was cool.
Yeah, because they knew that they were just going to sit in your toolbox and you would never use them.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Wasn't Bob Vila like the fucking Craftsman guy?
I think so.
Is he still around?
No, wait, not Bob Vila. I'm thinking of...
You're thinking of Al Borland from fucking Tool Time?
Yeah. So back to our
Ben Greenfield
scheduled... yeah.
So we talked about biohacking a few weeks ago. I think we mentioned this man's name quite a few times in that episode because he did kind of inspire it. And we're going to do this episode. We're going to actually give him his own episode because he has inspired the hell out of me. I think even JB has listened to hours of his content.
Well, for sure.
He's just a fucking cool guy, and like he's
a smart guy. That's
he's a smart
first of all.
Guy,
that's the so he's an approachable.
Right.
I use this term, and I think he would even use it, but nerd. Guy that knows everything about a lot of things.
For sure. But he has a very just like you and I. We
he talks like a surfer dude, so you're automatically you're like, okay, cool. He's cool. We can go have a beer.
It's so weird because he'll talk in like that kind of like surfer lingo, but he'll be talking about like fucking
physiology, biomechanics,
crazy
pharmaceuticals, microbiology, biochemistry.
But one thing about him is, now granted, he has 3 master's degrees, so he's not a dumbass. Like he's a very educated gentleman. But he's not a doctor, he's not a PhD, he's not an MD, but he has studied with some of the smartest people in multiple fields and studied just the most crazy shit. And his just recall on his citations of like, well, there's studies on this, there's study on that. Dude, I work in the fucking medical industry, and like we have to learn studies regarding our products, and like my recall and citation ability is not nearly what dude, Ben Greenfield's just, his memory is fucking legit, and it's just it's impressive. He's an impressive guy, and one thing, and JB and I were talking about this before we hit the record button, but one of my favorite things about this guy is that he knows so much, but he's not black and white about his like recommendations. He's very like in the gray. Like,
Well,
hey,
he doesn't throw it at you either. He's very secure in his, and that's how you know that he knows, because he's secure in his intellect on the subject. You know, it's like, yeah,
exactly.
he can put it in layman's terms too.
When he's like, a ketogenic diet is great if X, Y, and Z are the case, but if not, then it's probably not. Like, what I do is this, but you might not want to do what I do. Like for instance, like NID is kind of one of the darling drugs of the anti-aging community. And he's like, well, NID, I fucking push NID through an IV once a week, but I'm not expecting you to do that. So here's some foods and some supplements that you should probably start taking to increase your NAD production. So that's what I love about him. Like he's not afraid to guinea pig himself, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily like recommend or it's not that he doesn't recommend. It's almost like when you watch like a P90X or like one of these like, Tony Horton or Sean T videos where they have that one person who does like the modified movements.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's like he'll always give you like, hey, pushing this shit through an IV is great, but hey, if you don't want to do that because you might not be crazy like me, then this is what I recommend, like eating.
Well, and most people who, I say that most people, a lot of people who you're going to believe about a lot of these things, a lot of their knowledge on the subject is based solely in theory. And
absolutely, dude.
This dude has pretty much experimented on himself with anything that he recommends, so you can really trust his
it's funny,
take on it, because he's done pretty much anything to try and elongate his lifespan.
For sure.
He's only 38 years old, but he wants to be around for a long time and in peak physical condition.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that, because my first like experience like being introduced to Ben Greenfield was I've mentioned it quite a few times on this podcast. The only magazine I have a subscription to is Men's Health. So he actually did an article for Men's Health where it was about like increasing libido, testosterone production, and basically making your dick harder and sex better. That was the whole thing.
Which is the whole point of Men's Health, pretty much, right? I mean, let's be honest.
I mean,
that's the only reason people read Men's Health, obviously.
It's so not true, but sure, why not?
I know. I'm being facetious and ironic, so
I know.
At the same time.
That's why I said not so much, but sure, why not?
Fashronic. That's what I'm being right now.
I like it.
That's another word. Hashtag fashronic.
So basically, this is an article where he basically experimented on himself. As I mentioned earlier, he is a human guinea pig. He's tried on himself all these pretty much every fucking non-traditional, non-conventional,
to say the least,
dick enhancing treatment available. Everything from red lights to supplements to a bunch of other stuff to like what is it? There's like audio signal, like some sort of like auditory
ultrasound or something like that.
Yeah, it's some sort of sound wave at some sort of megahertz that you basically shoot some sort of sound waves into your dick and he's talked about on plenty of his podcasts. So clearly that one does something.
All the way to this isn't his main motivation. This is one thing. This is how Tim came across him.
This is just how I was introduced to him. So all the way to pulling stem cells out of his own spine or hips, or I can't remember exactly what it was, and shooting them into his dick. Which apparently like left him black and blue for a couple of days. Like it looked like it might fall off, but then apparently the results were pretty awesome, according to him and his wife. By the way, he's married with 2 twin sons. Pretty awesome dude. So that was my introduction to him. So then I was like, okay, well, this guy's kind of interesting. Then I heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and then I was sold. I was like, dude, this guy's so cool. I'm going to subscribe to his podcast, and I have digested probably 20 hours of Ben Greenfield over the last week and a half.
Copious amounts of knowledge.
So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. He's a biohacker, human body and brain performance coach, ex-bodybuilder, Ironman triathlete, professional Spartan athlete, anti-aging consultant, speaker, and author of the New York Times bestseller, Beyond Training, Mastering Endurance, Health, and Life. Ben is a Spartan SGX certified coach, was voted as NSCA's Personal Trainer of the Year in 2008, and was named by Greatest. That doesn't even make sense. Was named by Greatest, unless that's like a publication of some sort. Was named by Greatest as one of the top 100 most influential people in health and fitness in 2013 and 2014. Ben's articles, podcasts, and videos reach over 1 million unique views each month. Ben's blog and podcasts are at bengreenfieldfitness.com, which I highly recommend you check out. If you do listen to his podcast, he has the most robust and complete show notes of any fucking... I wish I had the time to do what he does, because literally he has a transcript of every word spoken in every one of his podcasts, plus extra notes, plus links, plus everything.
Well, and if you sign up for like his newsletter or whatever, he gives you like some pretty decent content. Like there's like 4 or 5 different PDFs that he gives you for as kind of like to wet your whistle on some sort of stuff to get you motivated to continue down that path.
When you and I talk about bringing value, like this guy brings a ton of value.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
A lot of it you don't have to pay for. So every solution Ben recommends is at getkeon.com, and that's his company and his website, and they do a bunch of fitness products and supplements, and it's getkeon KION.com. So shout out to that website. We're gonna give you some free press for all of our 4 listeners, Ben. And Ben resides in Spokane, Washington, with his wife and twin boys. With nearly 2 decades of experience working as a strength and conditioning coach, exercise physiologist, and biomechanist. Is that how you say that? Biomechanist. Ben is also the man responsible for maximizing performance recovery, fat loss, digestion, brain, sleep, and hormone optimization for CEOs, ultra-endurance competitors, and a wide variety of professional athletes, including poker champions, tennis players, motocross competitors, the NFL, the NHL, the UFC, and beyond. Using his vast knowledge of science and research, in the trenches experience, and unique set of cutting-edge brain and body biohacking techniques, Ben cuts through the clutter, confusion, and snake oil, and instead delivers total human optimization in the fastest, cleanest, and safest way possible. And that's a pretty good,
basically,
it's a lot of words.
Logical biohacking.
Logical biohacking and
natural biohacking, maybe.
And according to his intro and kind of how he puts it, he kind of marries the most cutting edge science of fitness, nutrition, and performance, and he marries it with the science of ancestral health.
Yeah.
Which I think is so fucking cool. Like
that's more diet, the diet side of it. Like figure out your ancestry, and try and eat what your ancestors would have eaten to a certain degree.
No, for sure, man, and that makes perfect sense because
it does. It's extremely sense making.
Right. Because we are, and if you look at just cultures in general, we're designed. We are evolutionarily adapted. I don't know if I made those words up or not. To basically respond different ways to different things. Like if you look at like the Icelandic, basically the fucking modern day Vikings, they have genetic markers that make them very, very likely to have some sort of depression or seasonal affective disorder, but their traditional diet, like ancestrally, so we're talking about, going back like 100 years, is very rich in omega-3s and DHA, and a bunch of these things that make them basically, that shield them from being depressed. Now you put someone with these genetic markers, for increased likelihood of depression, you put them on like a shitty westernized diet, and like that person's going to be depressed. But it's just very interesting. He talks about like, in somewhere in Africa, Cameroon, I think it is, there's a higher likelihood of colon cancer, but because of their ancestral diet, they have a diet that is very rich in a lot of things that help, stave off or reduce the risk of, or, keep you from getting colon cancer. So it's just,
it's evolution, basically.
Well, and I mean, it could have been accidental, the people who ate a certain way lived, and the ones who didn't died. I'm oversimplifying it for sure. But, however it came about, these are these are cultures that didn't have access to the internet and science and doctors for the most part. And this is how they came to be, to thrive, was to eat a certain way. So looking back at that kind of your ancestral practices in diet and exercise, etc., is very valuable. And I love how he kind of marries like this super modern like science of anti-aging and performance enhancement with kind of an ancestral
take on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, and I like how if you have a problem, for instance, depression or some sort of malady that you have, he'll give you all of the options. He's not a doctor, but he will describe to you what a doctor might prescribe you. He'll give you sort of the quote unquote biohacking version that will help you out with that, or he'll give you like the natural remedy, more of the holistic side of it. So he's smart enough to know the entire gamut of fixes, and lets you kind of pick for yourself, whatever kind of road you want to go down.
Well, absolutely. And then
I feel like that's a really interesting way to look at things.
He'll give you 3 or 4 different doctors to go research and 3 or 4 books that you can go read if you want to expand on that.
Yeah.
And then he'll give you all of the science, half of which you won't understand until you listen to it 3 or 4 times and take notes.
More than half, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, probably. Yeah. I was being nice. 'Cause I don't understand even half. So.
What?
What?
I think I understood like 4 words you just said, so
Dude,
I'm way behind the 8 ball. Just kidding.
So bengreenfieldfitness.com, awesome website. Like I said, we were introduced to him, me kind of accidentally through a Men's Health article, and then I forgot about him. And then when I heard the Joe Rogan podcast, I kind of put 2 and 2 together. Actually, thanks to my boss, Paul Eady. So shout out to you, Paul. Thanks, buddy. And then I made JB listen to it. And then from there, I subscribed to his podcast, and I've just been digesting that shit like candy. He has so much good stuff.
It is really good stuff. Yeah, for sure.
It's phenomenal. Like, he just has so much good information. And I think it kind of boils down to, like JB said, I mean, going back to like our Dan Reynolds, was it Dan Reynolds? Dave Reynolds?
I think it's Dan. Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, anyways, the Imagine Dragons episode and a lot of other stuff we talked about.
We clearly retained that information.
Dude, I don't even remember. I like literally when we think of a topic, I have to go back and like look and see if we've already done that topic, because half the time I don't fucking remember the shit. And we haven't even hit 3 digits. Like, so now I get it when like the Sofa Gang, like when Brent and Brad are talking about like, dude, I feel like we've already done this episode, but maybe we haven't. I don't fucking know. So yeah, I get it. And then I guess Joe Rogan like interviews people, and he plenty of people that he interviews have done 3 or 4 episodes. So
yeah, oh yeah,
he doesn't have to worry about.
He's got his regulars.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, dude. Clearly my memory sucks. But I guess my point was,
I'm kidding.
With Dan Reynolds and I think that Ben Greenfield. And it's funny, like I have a girl that I work, like one of the girls I work with, she has Hashimoto's. I don't know if it's a syndrome, disease, whatever. It's like a more expansive version of like hypothyroidism, where you're like,
I was gonna say, it sounded kind of like a sushi roll.
It totally does, dude. It's like,
sorry, I don't mean to
No, I mean,
make fun, but that's what came to mind.
To be perfectly honest, dude, there's plenty of worse things you could have, but basically, it's the majority of it is a hypothyroid condition. So your thyroid is lower hypothyroid, so lower acting. Basically, you have your metabolism and everything is a little slow, so it's a lot harder to lose weight. It's easier to gain weight. Your energy is a little low, and it's it's not fatal. It's not completely debilitating.
It's just not fully optimized for.
Yeah, I mean, my mom doesn't have Hashimoto's, but I think she has some form of hypothyroidism. Anyways, so I've been telling her, like, go look up Greenfield. Like he has a wealth of knowledge of shit.
I spoke about this earlier, not to interrupt, but you signed up for you go to his website and you sign up for his, to get emails and stuff like that. And he sends you, or he doesn't send it to you, whoever, MailChimp or whatever sends you these 4 PDFs. One of them is a practical handbook to optimize your mind, body, and spirit. It's basically Ben Greenfield's daily routines, and it's like it's like a 20-page PDF here. That's a lot of good information. The next one is Become Superhuman. Official resource guide, Ben Greenfield's top tips for performance, recovery, digestion, brain, sleep, and hormone optimization. He's wetting your whistle. He's getting you, he's written many books on all of these subjects. So these are basically, glossing over Cliff's Notes kind of things, but giving you good, digestible, pun intended, information to get you, started. The next one is the 12-week detox plan, another super long PDF. And then the final one is the superhuman food pyramid. And it basically gives you...
I like that one because...
Yeah, it gives you, kind of the high-performance food pyramid, what to stay away from, what to completely avoid, what to eat in moderation, what to eat, however much you want kind of thing. And it breaks it all down: fats, vegetables, proteins, grains, legumes, fruit, herbs, spices, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So...
I like it because it not only has the pyramid, but then...
It breaks it down into list form.
Your normal food pyramid, although let's be honest, like the old school food pyramid that I'm sure we've all seen is completely antiquated and complete bullshit.
Oh, it's completely backwards.
But I like it how he has his new version of the food pyramid, but then he also has it's from left to right. It's red to green, and everything on the left of every level of the pyramid is shit to avoid. The middle is stuff to enjoy in moderation, and on the right is stuff to enjoy as much as you want. So it's like kind of he just added like an extra piece in there, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knows that there needs to be some sort of realism to this, So I mean, in a perfect world, we could all eat the coconut oil, avocado, lean whatever with beans and whatever, down the line.
For sure.
But there's those of us who travel, and there's those, so there's like the ones where, you're probably going to run into most of these foods in the moderation section. So it's like, it's realistic. But my point being in all this is that there's just by free signing up for his email list, he gives you this information, which to me is huge, because if you were to just go no farther than this, there you go. You've got a wealth of information to pull from, and do more research on. So,
well, and then he has his
highly
company,
recommended just doing that to get started, because it doesn't cost you anything.
Well, he has his company Keon. It's like, dude, but he doesn't. It's not a gimmick. Like, there's nothing gimmicky about him. He's very honest. He's very real, and that's what I really appreciate about him. And he's also very realistic. Like, hey, in a perfect world, this is what you should do. But like, it's not a perfect world. Like, sometimes I take my kids out to fucking pizza, but he gives you I don't know, man. I really dig his outlook on stuff, and just his drive to research and learn about just so much cool shit, and then just disseminate his information to the masses, such as ourselves. And then he has information and products that you can buy. But like JB said, if you want like the Cliff Notes version of shit, like he gives you everything you need to basically, write out a plan of what you should be doing.
It really, like, just looking into this superhuman PDF here, like, it gives you a step by step. So his big thing, and I don't know if we glossed over this, but he goes out and gets a extremely detailed blood panel done. So this is when Tim was talking about, your sort of ancestral diet versus your current markers for certain diseases and stuff like that. Like, he knows his blood very well. And they even tells you, like, when you go to the doctor, if you're going to do this, most blood tests that you get are just showing the absence of disease, which is good. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But and this is the whole point of this is like becoming superhuman, which is what he wants to do. I mean, just to kind of like, he gives you this long list of things to ask your doctor to shoot for or to look for in the blood test, so that you can better know. And this is basically the behind the scenes of figuring out what your ancestral heritage and diet and all that stuff looks like. Because if you know all these things, I mean, for instance, HDL, LDL, triglycerides, whatever, HSCRP, I don't even know, glucose, creatinine, BUN, HbA1c, all the way down the right, your total bilirubin levels, liver function and all that stuff, ferritin, folate, basically just a detailed blood workup. He gives you what you want to ask. And if your doctor doesn't do that, he gives you other tests to go get, and some of them may require some significant coin, but he's telling you everything that you can do to go, quote unquote, be superhuman. And it's a wealth of information, is what I'm trying to say.
For sure, man. And I think it's all about research. Like, if you're going to go do something, you can have a more tailored approach to it if you do the research. And that's why he does the blood test. Like, one thing I thought was super interesting is the other test that he encourages people to do is apparently there's a company called Cyrex that does a food allergy test that is a lot more accurate. Yeah, we're going to go with accurate. A lot more accurate than most allergy tests, because I guess a lot of allergy tests just basically give you a ton of false positives. But apparently this company Cyrex, which, you need a doctor's order to get, so, if you wanted to do this, which I think I would like to, you go ask your doctor, you say, hey, I'd like an order for a Cyrex allergy test. And he came across this because he actually wears when he was on Rogan's podcast, and this is probably either towards the beginning of 2019 or the end of 2018, he mentioned that he was wearing a Dexcom continuous blood glucose monitor. Dexcom is actually the company my sister works for, so shout out to them. And they make the best continuous blood glucose monitors. So super cool.
The best.
No, they really do though. But super cool. Like, Shannon's actually gotten to she's gotten the chance to do a couple of I don't know if you call it studies or whatever, where they're testing out a new version.
Oh,
so
yeah.
She's gotten to wear one. I would like to wear one. But it's cool because, you could kind of see how and this was kind of his thing, was he wanted to see how every food he ate, every exercise he did, basically everything he did from, sun up to sundown, how it affected his blood glucose. Because how, that whole glycemic index and everything it's all dependent on, how your body handles glucose. Do you have glucose spikes? How does is your insulin production good? All that shit. So one thing he noticed, the weird thing he noticed was that when he ate green beans, his blood glucose was off the charts, which shouldn't happen. Green beans they're just fucking green beans. There's nothing to it. So then with this Cyrex test that he ended up taking, this super accurate allergy test, he found that he's not allergic to pretty much anything as far as food allergies, but he has this weird allergy to green beans. So that's why the green beans his body was just out of whack with something in the green beans. And so it just triggered this, it wasn't like he went into anaphylactic shock. He didn't notice any sort of outward symptoms, but
he just wasn't running at peak optimization.
Well, yeah.
At that
And
point.
that's it spiked the shit out of his blood glucose. So something that he wouldn't have necessarily noticed really. When people who are allergic to peanuts or shellfish or whatever, when they eat that, they go into anaphylactic shock.
Severe.
They get all puffy. If I fucking pet a cat or fucking lick a cat or some shit, my eyes get all puffy. I can't breathe.
Stop licking cats, dude.
Well, I haven't licked a cat in a while. But I notice it. Okay, I need to probably stay away from cats. Or if I pet a cat, I should probably wash my hands before I touch my face. But, this was different because it was something was happening internally that he probably never would have noticed. But by wearing this blood glucose monitor, he totally noticed something was off. And so then he got this test and realized hey, I have this weird allergy to green beans, which I've never fucking heard of before, but hey, it is what it is. So
yeah,
he's just so in tune with his body. And I don't, as much as I would love to, be as knowledgeable about my own body as he is, I don't have the time or the focus or the effort involved. But he has some really, really good tips and tricks about how to kind of learn and research your own shit so that you can best deal with it. Because he's hey, a ketogenic diet is great for some people, but hey, some people they respond horribly to it. And like, it's worth knowing where you stand on that spectrum. Like, same goes for like a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, or, you know, there's all this shit, vitamin D. You know, there's a ton of all this, like, everybody says, oh, take a bunch of vitamin D. But apparently, a lot of people, you know, don't need a ton of vitamin D, and taking excess vitamin D can calcify your arteries. So, you know, I was telling my dad, I was like, hey, Dad, maybe you shouldn't take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day.
Well, I mean, if your doctor recommends it, there's probably a reason, but, you know.
Sure. And there's certain people who have, you know, they don't have the
deficiencies,
ability.
You know.
Right. Yeah. They have deficiencies, depending on where you live, or some genetic markers. They're because, you know, vitamin D is you get vitamin D by literally going out and, you know, being in the fucking sun. Like,
speaking of, today was like the first time the sun has shone in Nashville for like 30 days. So it was amazing. Like, it can feel a noticeable difference in my mood by just going outside. We went to the park and let my son play on the jungle gym.
Dude, it's
little
funny.
Side note there. But we talking about vitamin D.
I've never looked into this, and I don't know any of the qualifications about what I'm about to say, but I wonder if like seasonal affective disorder like has anything to do with vitamin D deficiency.
It may very well. There's definitely a possibility. I mean, I've done zero research on the subject, but I mean, you can kind of put two and two together there, and maybe, who knows?
Hey, you know, unlike Ben Greenfield, JB and I do very little research to no research.
But I feel like we represent a large population of the common man in that or woman in that regard. But I feel like women do a little bit more research than men do. So
common people,
more common people. We just, you know, take the headlines of things.
Hey, we have always said we're just idiots talking.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy it, awesome. If we can. Maybe we can't teach you anything necessarily, but if we can point you in the direction of something that could teach you something, then hey, we've done our jobs, because that's all we've ever tried to do. Or just,
realize that there's other people out there who are doing exactly the same thing that you are.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, if we can do it, shit. If we can do it, you can do it. And Ben Greenfield. Ben Greenfield is one of many topics and people that we are extremely interested in, and our whole purpose today was simply to tell you enough about him to whet your whistle. You know,
just tell you his name. Go check him out.
So that you can go check him out. Go listen to his podcast, because he is fucking amazing in his delivery, his knowledge, his everything. Ben, if you're listening, dude, awesome. So fucking stoked that I figured out who the hell you are. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it, or the short of the long, as our absent co-host would say.
Stuff. He's kind of funny. He's a little bit kind of awkward and dark. And I was just listening to some episode, and a lot of his episodes are literally recordings of presentations he's done. And
he does like TED Talks and does all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And one of them was he was talking about increasing testosterone production or something to that effect through like supplements and shit. And he was talking to a room full of doctors. And he does like kind of before he actually goes into the recorded, you know, speech, he's like, so this is, you know, just to give you kind of a rundown, like, here's this, I was speaking in front of this group and blah, blah, blah. And I got to tell you, getting to make dick jokes in front of a bunch of white coats for an hour was pretty entertaining. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, he's a funny guy. He's a cool guy. You know, he kind of does there's just the whole gamut. He talks about, you know, breathing and meditation and sleep.
He's kind of the you know, like Mac versus PC. He's kind of the PC side of living. He'll
Very
give
much,
you
yeah.
you're able to get information and change anything you want about your life. And yes, he does sell you products if you want them, but the information is there. All you got to do is digest it. Again, pun intended. Because a lot of his stuff is regarding digestion. Because if you have a bad gut, you have bad health.
He gives you the why behind everything that he recommends.
Yeah.
And he's
not just like, here, buy my product. He actually tells you why you should buy his product.
His company is Kion, Kion, getkion.com if you want to go check it out. They have a ton of products. And the cool thing is, because he's so into research, it's like he's not just putting his name on shit products. Like, he is literally involved in the process, and like everything from they make coffee. Everything from their coffee to like everything is like legitimately like best of class. Now, I'm not saying you should go buy his stuff. If you want to, go for it. Like, we're not sponsored by Ben Greenfield. We're not sponsored by Kion. But But I love the fact that he's not just some fucking celebrity putting his name on shit. Like, he will literally do more research, including guinea pigging the fuck out of himself and his own body to figure out what is the best of whatever and what makes the most sense. But I just love how he doesn't even push his products per se. Like I mean, his whole thing is like when it comes to vitamin D, he's like, well, the first thing you should do is like go out in the fucking sun. Like, you want to increase your immune system, like literally go get dirty, like go walk around barefoot. Don't shower 3 times a day. You know, don't shower, maybe shower every other day, maybe shower once a day. And you know, when he's talking about like, I was just listening to an episode, he was talking about, green, like one of his sponsors is some company that makes some green superfood powder, you know, with all this fucking shit. And you put a scoop in your water and you get all of the kale and fucking spirulina and chlorella and all this other stuff that benefits you. But the first thing he says is, you know, the first thing you should do is eat this shit naturally. And then use these kind of things for when you're traveling or you don't have access to eating actual spinach and kale and parsley and cilantro and all the, you know, coriander seeds and fennel seeds and all this other stuff. I mean, he's very, very much like has this, you know, get shit naturally first. Like, don't just buy a bunch of fucking products to buy products. You know, use them when they make sense. But you can get a lot of this shit from actual, real, whole, natural foods. And that's how you should get it first.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And that's a huge part of, like you just said, like it's a huge part of his thing. It's like, oh, this is very easy. There's a lot of things that you can do. Take the cold shower in the morning to replace cryotherapy, you know, or the effects of cryotherapy, stuff like that. Just we talked about this in the last episode. Like, just go outside. Just go outside. Just go be a human being.
Yeah.
In a scenario in which a human being you would think would be thriving in outside, doing things, having a purpose, being around people, all these things that we are straying away from. Slowly or quickly as a society, and that's why we have the needs for all these patches, i.e. drugs, and you know our diet is bad. So it's just basically a super logical look at being a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really dig about it. It's like, God damn, it makes sense.
Well, it's interesting. You know, he when he talks about the ancestral thing, he focuses mostly on diet. But just and honestly, I didn't put 2 and 2 together until I was just listening to you say what you just said. But you know, there's a ton of things we can learn from like our ancestors about just everything. Like they didn't have, you know, they didn't sit inside and do that. Like, you know, they were out. I mean, they had to be. They were out hunting and gathering and shit. You know, they were outside. They were barefoot. They were, you know, hunting or gathering, and they had their own little, you know, they had their social structures. So I mean, just even more than diet, you know, we can learn a ton from our ancestors. It's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, just do a little research, you know, and maybe
for sure,
and maybe not even if you don't have the resources to go get like a crazy blood test or anything. Go to your doctor and on your next, if you choose to do this, if you guys do this, you know, a lot of times every year you'll get your wellness checkup. Go get your blood drawn and have them take a look at certain things and maybe a little bit more in depth than you normally would. Or if you don't have those resources to do that, just go kind of, you know, ask your parents, where do I come from? And maybe do some research in that aspect of it. You know, oh, okay, well, I'm Icelandic. So, or not me, but you know, maybe you are. So you can go research, you know, the diet of the Icelandic people, 500 years ago, you know, and just kind of piece together in that way and then do those small changes and see what happens. You know, who knows? It may work, it may not, but what could it really hurt? You're only trying to help yourself here, you know.
Just any kind of research at all. I mean, you know, he talks a lot about deleterious diets where you delete a lot of stuff. So I mean, if you have like
like intermittent fasting and stuff like that,
right, but also like if you feel like you're bloated all the time or something, like you may have a lactose intolerance. You know, apparently most European heritage people have some level of lactose intolerance. Or you may have an allergy to something, and not in the fact that it makes you, you know, puffy-eyed and can't breathe and shit, but it may just be something that kind of makes you bloated or gassy or just fucks with your hormones. And so, like, a deleterious diet is basically cutting back everything for, and JB haven't talked about, like, the virgin diet, or what was it, like the 30-day fix or something?
Whole 30 is a big one that does that.
Yeah,
That's the most
so those are kind of
the
the idea behind those is to remove a lot of the things that you may that are common that people commonly have sensitivities to, such as gluten, dairy, et cetera, et cetera.
Sugar,
you remove all that
stuff,
right? You remove all that. You eat super clean, and it's kind of almost like a very paleo sort of ketogenic diet. I think it's pretty much protein and plants for a few weeks. Either 3 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on what we're talking about, what diet, and then you add these foods in one at a time, and if you're super clean, you're feeling good, and then you add dairy in, and then all of a sudden you feel like shit, then hey, I probably have some sort of sensitivity to
dairy sensitivity.
Or when you add, gluten in, it's like, well, maybe you don't have celiac disease, but maybe you have some sort of a sensitivity to gluten. Anyways, I mean, these are cheap ways to figure out, what you may have sensitivities to. Also, like JB was saying, just if you know, like it was interesting. Like I was telling my mom, like, hey, I kind of want to take one of these stupid fucking ancestry tests. Like I would never do 23andMe. It's too commercialized, and obviously they shared their information with the government, and you know how I feel about the government, so fuck that. But then my mom was like, well, I've done the whole like ancestry.com thing, so I could pretty much tell you exactly what we are, at least 200 or 300 years back. You're basically Mediterranean. So I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Well, that saves me $100. So now I know that my ancestors were pretty much Mediterranean. So as far as ancestral diet, the Mediterranean diet.
Oh yeah, lots of olive oil, fish,
basically fish, vegetables, a lot of healthy oils. Yeah. So I mean, and Ben Greenfield, talks about he does a pseudo ketogenic diet with a very heavy influence from a Mediterranean diet, and the Mediterranean diet, when eaten like it should be, not like a New York Italian, but like an actually Italian. It's a super healtly diet. Yeah. So I mean, that's something that I'm probably going to try and kind of move more towards. But yeah.
Yeah. So just go check out bengreenfieldfitness.com. It's a wealth of information. You can there's hundreds of articles here about like really cool sense making stuff. If you choose to go further, if not, it's kind of like a home base. I'm having some issues, and it's not like, I'm not talking about like self-diagnosis, but stuff that you want to improve, So, I mean, just looking down the list, it's anti-aging, biohacking, brain, digestion, fat loss, fitness, hormones, lifestyle, low carb, ketogenic diet, nutrition, recovery, self-quantification, sleep, and supplements. And each one of those tabs has probably 10 to 15 articles in them. So,
dude, yeah.
Yeah. And then not to mention his whole podcast list, and the wealth of information that is there for those of you who want to improve your performance, whatever that may be, and whatever that sounds like. Yeah. So
or even
that's kind of the whole point of this podcast, is to show you that. Yeah.
And I mean, like, he does such a, you mentioned the word accessible earlier, and I love that word for this guy, because he speaks and delivers information in such an accessible way, but he also gives you, it's like he gives you kind of the Cliff Notes version, like you mentioned. He gives you kind of the very kind of short version that you can understand. But then if you look into the show notes or the PDFs that are available there, like he dives like another 10 fucking levels into the science, because that's just how researched he is. So you have the basically the kind of 30,000 foot view, the surface level stuff. And then if you really want to learn more or drill down into like the why behind the what, he has all of that there. And it's impressive. It's very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's there if you want to ingest it.
So at least
need I say digest one more time?
digestion. So yeah, go check out Ben Greenfield. If you like Joe Rogan, go listen to. He may have even been on there more than once. We were
sure
listening to the one that I think it happened around the beginning of 2019, but just super super freaking interesting. Or go listen to his podcast, or just go to his website, bengreenfieldfitness.com, and check him out. I think you might enjoy.
Yeah, there's going to be something for everybody. So
absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, it's been a good episode talking about the old BG. That's what we call him over here.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, because we know him that well.
And I've been digesting the BG podcast like fucking.
Yeah, a lot of information to digest.
I think that's digesting digesting is key because, I mean, if without digesting, then you're just divesting.
Yeah, and you're
What?
regressing.
What?
Yeah, I don't have my thesaurus in front of me, or else we'd be going for days. So
Dude, I just think the Saurus sounds like a fucking dinosaur.
it is.
I
It's
think
the-
I
he's the nerdy English.
I think I said
teacher
thesaurus,
dinosaur.
and then I think I said thouns, like sounds with a th, just because.
Thesaurus.
The Thorthouns.
Yeah, that's super silly, Tim.
It's just a fucking dinosaur, dude.
All right, now we're just speaking stupidness.
So
I
y'all have
gotta
a
go
good
to bed.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, y'all be good. We'll talk to you soon.
Freak out.
Peace.
Later.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, introducing you to Ben Greenfield. Maybe you even picked up a tip on how to do a little biohacking of your own to improve yourself a little. As for me, I'm inspired to go jailbreak my OS, and upload my being into the cloud so that I can live forever, just like Ben.
My why used to be I want to be the strongest version of me, right? Like I want to see how tough I can make myself so that I can survive. My why now is to inspire people to greatness. We don't really fight much anymore.
No.
We're engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Not many people run from wild animals or have to get down there in the blood and gut a wild animal after you kill it. Heck, a lot of people don't even garden and get their hands dirty, right? Failure happens, for sure. Yeah, sometimes it's because your why isn't strong enough. Sometimes it's because you give in to that primal instinct. Sometimes it's because you're underprepared. But yeah, it certainly is a reality. Psilocybin on the beach, and I'm going through a massive rebranding of my business and what it is that I want to build, how many people that I want to inspire. And my intention was to ask myself if I really was ready to do that. And I just remember opening my arms and saying, I'm open to being big. I'm open to greatness. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and yet loses his soul, right? So ultimately, when we talk about anything from physical to mental superiority, what things really come down to is what's inside you, your spirit, your soul.
The ultimate biohack, maximizing your soul.